The Batman teaser trailer has officially dropped, and on this video, I'm going to go through and break down some of the shots, some of the Easter eggs, some of the things you might not have noticed, and talk about potentially what Matt Reeves' The Batman will look like. So let's get started. We open on the Warner Brothers and DC logos in red with the sound of duct tape. The first shot we see is a murder that's taken place in what looks like a home office or study. And we've got, we see the body on the floor and we see some sort of ominous villain that we don't quite know who it is yet. After a short close-up, we cut to black and fade in on the victim of the crime. His face is duct taped with words that read "No more lies." Looks like it's written in blood. I'm assuming that it wasn't written in Sharpie. I'm assuming that this bad guy didn't bring a Sharpie with him for this occasion. So we can assume that that's probably blood. Cut to black again, and Something in the Way by Nirvana plays. I love this song choice. It really is an intentional song choice, not just because it's a cool sounding song, but as a lot of you probably know, Kurt Cobain was definitely a tortured soul in his own right, and I think that the kind of the mirroring of the Bruce Wayne side of having this double life where, much like Kurt, Kurt didn't want to be a rock star, he just wanted to be himself, and he kind of felt like he was living a double life. Much like Batman and Bruce Wayne probably feel, especially in this movie, diving into kind of the psyche of Bruce Wayne. Next, we see a young Gotham City Police Department's Detective James Gordon. He's headed to the crime scene, and we learn pretty quickly that this is a POV shot, or a point of view shot, from the way that every cop on the scene is absolutely mean-mugging the camera. So we know that someone's following behind James Gordon, walking into the crime scene with him, and we're going to find out soon enough that that's the Batman.
From your secret friend.
Gordon begins to read a letter in a narration as we cut to the crime scene investigators working and see a mysterious green envelope. We know that Paul Dano has been officially cast to play the Riddler, or in this incarnation, Edward Nashton, as opposed to Edward Nygma. So we know that the Riddler is a villain. We see the green envelope. Obviously, it's pretty safe to assume that this is the Riddler's doing, especially based on what we see. A green card, a riddle, and what we're about to see is a clue or a secret code that needs to be solved, which are definitely all things that Edward Nygma or the Riddler is known for.
Who?
Batman officially wears combat boots. Your mother wears combat boots. Boom. Roasted.
Haven't a clue.
Next, we see newspaper clippings all showing headlines focusing on the successes of Gotham City's current mayor, Mayor Don Mitchell Jr., and how he has succeeded in being reelected for a third term. Now, obviously, these newspapers are covered in big bloody letters that spell out the word lies. Based on this, it feels safe to assume that the victim of the murders in this case is, in fact, Mayor Mitchell. That's who I'm assuming it is. I don't know about you, but I think that this is his home office. I think that he's been killed, and his murder is the catalyst for this entire kind of investigation that Batman's going to go on. Matt Reeves has stated that he took inspiration from movies like Taxi Driver, but you're definitely getting a lot of David Fincher vibes. You're definitely getting a lot of Seven, Zodiac, just that murder, kind of thriller, mystery, detective kind of noir film. Which is really exciting and really cool. Matt Reeves has said that he wants to focus on Batman as the greatest detective in the world in this incarnation of the Batman, which we haven't really seen in past movies, and it's really exciting.
Let's play a game. Just me and you.
The inside of the card is our first clue that this might be the Riddler's doing. The riddle reads to the effect of, "What does a liar say or maybe do when he is dead?" Now, the riddle is obscured, but it's a riddle nonetheless. We also see some form of a coded message, probably revealing the answer to the riddle or telling some sort of clue as to where Batman needs to go next.
Just me and you.
Next, we see a quick shot of a CSI worker taking photos of a framed newspaper that reads Maroney Drug Bust. Now, this is especially interesting because Sal Maroney is the crime boss who throws acid on Harvey Dent's face and eventually turns him into the villain Two-Face. So this is a really cool little Easter egg showing that Sal Maroney has been arrested, and probably Harvey Dent is behind his arrest. And this may lead to some sort of Harvey Dent Two-Face storyline or short plot line in the movie.
Any of this mean anything to you?
Next, we see the green letter addressed to the Batman and finally see the Batman himself, Robert Pattinson, in the titular role for the first time. And I have to say, it's pretty awesome. He's pretty striking. I mean, his look, I love that he's just in the room with them. He's not in a dark corner. He's just there. He's a detective on the case, which is a really cool way to see the Batman. And we haven't seen him in this sort of atmosphere in a long time. Now we're going to cut to what looks to be actor Alex Ferns, who was cast as Commissioner Pete Savage. And it looks like they're at a press conference. And I would say, based on what we've seen so far, that he's announcing to the public the murder of the mayor. And he's got Detective Gordon in tow right behind him over his shoulder. And I'm assuming that this press conference, he's basically telling everyone the mayor has been murdered. We're looking into things. We're going to figure this out. All that sort of stuff. Quick shot of Pattinson or Bruce Wayne with an obscured face spectating from afar. He then puts on his helmet, rides his motorcycle to the Batcave. Next, we hear a voiceover from Andy Serkis, who is playing Alfred Pennyworth, the butler of Bruce Wayne, his confidant, a partner of his in solving crimes.
You're becoming quite a celebrity.
And this is awesome. I love the way this Batcave looks. It looks, I love that it's got like the ornamental stairs and lights, and maybe this Batcave is an old repurposed train station of some sort. It definitely looks like it was something before, and it's since kind of been shut down, and, Bruce has made his home as Batman within these caves, underground. Now we're transported to what looks to be a memorial service for the mayor, Don Mitchell Jr. It's being crashed literally by a car with the letters DOA painted on the back, and Bruce heroically saves a young boy. Now, obviously, we know that normally DOA stands for Dead on Arrival, so this is probably some sort of clue into what the Riddler's thinking. We think that the Riddler is the primary villain at this point behind this storyline. Next, we see a man who I'm assuming was the driver of the car who crashed in. He's got a bomb around his neck. He's got a cell phone taped to his hand, and he's got another letter for the Batman, probably another riddle.
Why is he writing to you?
Next, we cut to the cat burglar herself, Catwoman, a.k.a. Selina Kyle, a.k.a. Zoe Kravitz, breaking into the scene of the crime that we saw before. You can tell this, obviously, by the windows, the wallpaper, the fact that there are do not cross crime scene tapes everywhere. She's breaking into some sort of a safe, but we see the first looks at our Catwoman. I especially like her look with her short hair and everything. It's definitely inspired by the Batman Year One series of Selina Kyle when she first starts out as Catwoman, and Zoe Kravitz just looks perfect in this role. Next, a warehouse where nothing short of nefarious activities is afoot, and a quick shot of, yep, that's right, Colin Farrell in full prosthetic as Oswald Cobblepot, mob leader, also known as the Penguin. That's Colin Farrell right there. Quick hero shot of a rainy Batman as well as his tortured soul punching a wall in a red room in his suit. I'm calling that this scene is probably taking place while Bruce is developing some sort of pictures in a red room. Matt Reeves has said and stated that this incarnation of Bruce Wayne is going to dive into the Waynes and their history in Gotham City and how they came to be. And I think a lot of this movie is going to dive into him discovering things about his parents that maybe aren't necessarily what he believes in, and he's just tortured by it. Then we cut to Batman in the bullpen with the Gotham City Police Department about to rough someone up for saying the wrong thing, and Detective Gordon quickly breaks it up. I love that Batman is involved in Gotham City Police Department's investigations. Now, Matt Reeves has said that this movie takes place in year 2 of Batman, so he's been around for a year now. It's not an origin story. He's established himself. He's solved some crimes. He's sent some criminals to Arkham at this point. So he knows, and he kind of has a friendship and a partnership with Detective James Gordon at this point. Quick shot of Selina Kyle on a motorcycle. Then we see the Penguin, Oswald Cobblepot, being a bad guy and shooting up a car. You know, this shot is just telling you that Gotham is riddled with thugs and crime and scum.
What is the price?
Then we cut to Batman and Catwoman fighting at the scene of our crime. Again, we can tell it's the same house, again, by the windows, the wallpaper, the furniture. And more than likely, this is Batman catching Catwoman in the act of stealing something that I would assume Batman was on his way to also acquire. I won't say steal because he's a good guy. He doesn't steal. He acquires things. He was going to steal it, and he probably caught her, and he's fighting with her over whatever she was stealing. Now Bruce is back at the memorial site at night, and he's blown up by some sort of person. As you can see, this is a person who's blown themselves up. I'm assuming based on the coat and the color of the pants that this was the guy from before with the bomb on his neck. I don't know if it's the same guy, but I know that someone is blowing themselves up and trying to blow up the Batman in the process.
Blind.
Next, we see another shot of our villain. Now, a lot of people are speculating that this is some form of the Riddler, of Paul Dano's Riddler. He's got a green coat on, but some people are also speculating, and what I'm kind of thinking is that this is a character called Hush. If you don't know about Hush, read the book, Batman, Hush, Google it, buy it on Amazon. But basically, Hush is a villain that grew up with Bruce Wayne, that even played games with him that required them to do young novice detective skill work. Over the course of time, he started to hate Bruce Wayne and became jealous of Bruce Wayne, and eventually, in the comic books, partners with the Riddler to reveal to the public that Batman is Bruce Wayne. Now, it might not be Hush, but this side-by-side makes it definitely look like this could be Hush. He's got the covered face, he's got the trench coat on. This could be a partnership between the Riddler and Hush working together. Maybe the Riddler's off somewhere kind of plotting, and then he's sending Hush out to do the crimes for him.
The hell are you supposed to be?
I'm vengeance.
Next, we see some goons in face paint picking a fight with Pattinson. Some people are speculating that this could be goons of the Penguin, but from the shot we saw earlier of the Penguin shooting up that car, his goons didn't look like these face-painted adolescent, teenage, young goons. Some people are saying that they might be some sort of followers of the Joker. I don't think that's the case either. There's some sort of gang in Gotham City. I'm not sure who they belong to. But I don't think they're part of the Penguins group. I don't think they're part of the Joker's group. I think this movie is going to give the Joker a rest, so let's all just give Joker a rest on this. I don't think they're part of the Joker's crew. Now Batman proceeds to beat one of these men just awfully and amazingly. He basically beats this man not until he's dead, but he doesn't have the will to live anymore. Now Batman doesn't kill, but if he did kill, we would assume that he killed this guy. But at the very least, this guy's going to be in a coma. My favorite part of this scene, though, is that his buddy is literally videoing with his phone Batman beat this guy down, which is pretty awesome and pretty timely. But I loved that was just a little part of their group and kind of their priorities.
I'm vengeance.
Now, I know what you were thinking. You were thinking he was going to say, I'm Batman. But he didn't. He said, I'm vengeance. Now, for those of you who may have grown up with Batman the Animated Series, this feels like a pickup line directly from a scene in an episode called Nothing to Fear in Batman the Animated Series, where Batman says this.
No, you are not my father. I am not a disgrace. I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman.
Next, we see beautiful shots of the new Batmobile in all of its glory. It's sexy, it's souped up, it's a muscle car. It's just awesome. We see a car chase, which we know is with Oswald Cobblepot, who will be the Penguin in the future. He hates being called the Penguin right now, though. Next, we see a quick shot of some of those goons shooting at Batman, probably ganging up on him after he mutilated their friend. And then we see an awesome shot of Batman using a grappling hook to make an escape through what looks like a government building or courthouse or police station. I think this takes place after Batman's scuffle with one of GCPD's finest that we saw earlier. Next, we see a cool, rainy shot of Batman coming up from the ground. It's just cool. What can I say? It's raining, it's cool, it's quick, but it's awesome. Next, we get a big, awesome reveal of the new Batman logo, the new title, big, red, bold. Awesome. We also see the Batman emblem behind it and that metallic, gun emblem that he has on his insignia on his chest. It's just cool. It reveals itself as the music swells. It's a great moment.
You're part of this too. How am I part of it? You'll see.
Next, and in our final shots, we see Bruce Wayne back at the Batcave taking off his cowl, and you hear the voiceover say, "You're a part of this too," to which Bruce says, "A part of what?" And the voiceover says, "You'll see." And I believe that that's maybe the Riddler talking to Bruce Wayne, talking to Batman, potentially about the Wayne past, maybe what Thomas and Martha Wayne, the way that they made their money or acquired their money or went about certain politics, that will all be revealed in the movie. What I absolutely love about this final shot of Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne is something that we've never really seen in a Batman movie, and that's when he takes off his cowl, he still has black makeup around his eyes because the mask, there's always black makeup when they've got the mask on, but when they take it off, all of a sudden they don't have black makeup on anymore. And I love the way this looks, and I love that it just looks... it looks emo. He kind of looks like he works at Hot Topic a little bit, but it works. It works for the tone of the movie. It works for the tone of the moment, and it's just awesome. He looks great. My final thoughts on this movie: it looks awesome. Now, we know Matt Reeves has said that they've only filmed about 25 to 30% of the movie, and that's all that we're seeing here in this trailer is 25 to 30% of a 2-hour plus long movie. From what it looks like, we've seen just about the first 20 minutes of the movie. We've seen probably what is the catalyst with a murder of what I'm assuming is the mayor of Gotham City. We've seen Batman as he works with the Gotham City Police Department. We've seen the introduction of Selina Kyle. We've seen the Penguin as a thug, as a mob boss, but we haven't seen the bulk of the movie yet, and I think that's for the best. I'm excited about where this is going to go. This trailer was just awesome. Let me know in the comments if you noticed anything that I didn't notice, and please like and subscribe to this channel, Podzilla. We host a weekly podcast about pop culture, and I'm sure we're going to talk about this more on episodes to come. So, like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.